Bob Brenly back with you here at Chase Field in Phoenix. Bob, time for the Brenly Breakdown. Mad Bum versus the Padres. Your thoughts?
Well, partner, you know in the past I've said opening day is all about the fans, and that was never more true than it is in this 2020 baseball season. This is all about the fans here tonight. But in the past I've complained that the players want to get through opening day and fall into a rhythm.
Yeah.
In a 60-game season, you don't have a chance to fall into a rhythm. You better be in rhythm when that first pitch is thrown tonight.
Well, we are in rhythm. First pitch 75 seconds away on Fox Sports Arizona. It's opening day at last. Regular season unlike any in baseball history. It ends roughly 2 months from today. And now with 8 National League teams reaching the postseason, Torey Lovullo in his 4th year as D-backs manager tonight begins the sprint for one of those 8 spots. Let's take a look at Torey's opening day lineup. It's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
And a good lineup it is. Ketel Marte will lead it off at second base. David Peralta up in the 2 spot playing left field. The other Marte, Starling, will be out in center. Eduardo Escobar at third base. Christian Walker serving as the DH, still nursing a somewhat sore groin. Cole Calhoun will be out in right field. Carson Kelly doing the catching with Jake Lamb at first base. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. And as we know, the Mad Bum, Madison Bumgarner on the mound.
On the mound for the Padres, presented by Nissan, it's Chris Paddack, 24-year-old right-hander. He's been the Padres' future ace in waiting. They were careful with him as a rookie last year. His first full season back from Tommy John. Now free to let it go. No more limits or restrictions.
Yeah, the governor is off this year for Chris Paddack, and he relishes the opening day start. This is a guy that has a lot of confidence in his own abilities. Features a fastball, a really good straight changeup, and will mix in the occasional curveball.
Well, there's a look from Petco Park in San Diego. No fans in attendance. Bob and I back here at our booth at Chase Field in Phoenix on Fox Sports Arizona. So happy you're with us. Unusual circumstances, but hopefully, Bob, it becomes the norm after a very short while.
You know, it's starting to feel, I won't call it normal, but it's starting to feel much more reasonable. We did the exhibition games against the Dodgers, had an opportunity not only for us to get things ironed out a little bit, for our crew to get some things ironed out, and we are ready to go.
And so is Ketel Marte in the leadoff spot tonight as we finally start on July 24th, the 2020 Major League Baseball season with strike one. Paddack's got a big fastball and an excellent changeup. Marte, second in the National League in batting average last year, 4th in OPS, well above the Major League average. And quickly down 0-2, another fastball. Paddack does not mess around, does he?
Ketel Marte is the 6th straight different leadoff hitter for the Diamondbacks. Hasn't been a real solid position offensively. With the exception of Ketel Marte last year. When he filled that leadoff role, he was 11 for 25. That's a .440 batting average. He had 3 triples, 3 homers, and OPS over 1,500.
And we asked Torey today why bat Ketel leadoff, and the answer was simple: get him the most possible at bats. Not a lot of science involved there, but Torey does believe that with the DH this year and more punch at the bottom of this lineup, there actually might be more RBI chances for Ketel up top when things turn around. So get your best hitter the most chances to hit. Kind of punches that one the other way, dunks it into left field. Ketel Marte at it again. He'll have a leadoff single. Let's take a look at the Padres defensively. A look around the diamond brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Yeah, Tommy Pham out in left field. He's been busy already. The first hit of the ball game goes his direction. Trent Grisham out in center field. Will Meyer slides over to right field. Manny Machado will be at third. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup at shortstop with Jurickson Profar at second base. Eric Hosmer at first. Francisco Mejia doing the catching for the big right-hander Chris Paddack.
David Peralta, the left fielder, bats second. Here's a look at the Padres defensively. It's on the ground to first. Hosmer for 1. Tatis turns it. And the Padres behind Paddack roll that double play.
That ball hit pretty hard. Unfortunately, right at Hosmer at first base. David was trying to take advantage of that hole on the right side of the field. Hosmer holding on the runner. You see where Profar was playing. He tried to shoot that hole over there. Unfortunately, hit it right to Eric Hosmer.
So erase that leadoff single. Bases empty. 2 down for Starling Marte. His first official at bat in a D-back uniform. What do you think of the new unis, by the way?
Yeah, I like them. I mean, I like the dark gray. Some of the other accoutrements they weren't really my cup of tea, but I like the dark gray. Yeah, these look nice, though. These look more traditional.
Yeah, very clean look for the D-backs this year. Marte, the center fielder, acquired from the Pirates near the end of January in a trade for a couple of minor leaguers.
Yeah.
Starling Marte last season with Pittsburgh, when he batted third in the lineup, put up some tremendous numbers, and Torey told us that's why Marte is batting third tonight. Look at the numbers for Marte in Pittsburgh last year when he hit third in the order. 18 homers, 63 driven in, OPS over 900.
You know, and because he played in Pittsburgh, they get very little national attention. They've had some rough years as far as the one-loss record goes, but Starling Marte just goes out and does his thing, puts up his numbers every year. A legitimate five-tool player.
Yeah, we've seen him run. We've seen him drive the ball well. Did it get him in the elbow? Nope.
It looked like Ted Barrett was trying to say it caught him on the arm, but Starling wants to take the at-bat. Nah, I'm okay. It's all right.
Like one of those inter-squad games.
Yeah.
Ted Barrett, the crew chief, our plate umpire tonight, as Bob pointed out. We've got Adrian Johnson at first base, Mark Rippiger at second, and Quinn Walcott is our third base umpire. There's Big Ted, Valley native. 2-2 on Starling Marte. Mad Bum waits his turn. Funny, we mentioned this the other night. I think Marte has been hit by pitches since the 2013 season 108 times.
Yikes.
So he's got that LaCastro vibe going. Escobar would be next.
And we touched on it in the exhibition games, talking about that very fact for Marte and the fact he played for the Pirates, and they had a tendency to drill opposing players, and unfortunately Marte was the recipient of the retaliation.
Erickson Profar, the second baseman, is out there. Mad Bum's D-backs debut is next. Back starting pitcher presented by Nissan. His D-backs debut arrives just about a week shy of his 31st birthday. He pitched opening day last year at San Diego. That was in March, and did very well, but got stuck with a 2-0 Giants loss.
You should be able to give up a couple of runs in 7 innings and still have a chance to win the ball game, but the Giants couldn't put anything on the board for Mad Bum. You know one thing for sure, he's not rattled in any way, shape, or form. Fans in the stands, no fans in the stands, doesn't matter who the opponent is, this guy's ready to go.
Well, for the first time up, it's Fernando Tatis Jr., their sensational 21-year-old shortstop. Now healthy after a lower back injury cost him the final 6 weeks of last year. And Bob, I thought when they lost Tatis last year, they lost their zip, their fire, their energy. They were a different ball club.
No question about it. I mean, obviously a tremendously talented young player that can do a lot of things extremely well on the field, but you're right about the energy. We've talked about it with Eduardo Escobar. You need a guy like that on the team to stir things up, keep everybody pushing in the right direction, and Tatis, for a young player, was that guy for the Padres last year.
And he has seen Mad Bum before, in fact, in his very brief career against Madison Bumgarner. Tatis 4 for 6 with a home run.
And he's also been hit by pitch 3 times.
How about that? So there's already a history here between these two. 2 balls and a strike. That one out over the middle of the plate, got under it just a bit for Cole Calhoun. Let's take a look at the Padres batting order. That's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Well, we've just seen the shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. fly out to right field. Manny Machado making his way to the plate. He'll be at third base with Tommy Pham in left field. Jurickson Profar at second base. Eric Hosmer at first. Will Myers, when the music stops, grab a position. He'll start in right field tonight. Ty France will be the designated hitter, with Francisco Mejia doing the catching and Trent Grisham in center field, of course, with big Chris Paddock on the mound.
So here is Manny Machado. He's hit at least 32 home runs in each of the last 5 seasons. If he hits 32 this year, now that would really be something. But with his talent, you never know, he might get there. He has made it very clear he wants to be an everyday guy and play in all 60 games.
Well, he's going to have to put up some big numbers if he wants to catch Kike Hernandez in that Triple Crown race.
Yeah, Kike's off to a hot start.
4 hits, 5 runs driven in, and a homer last night for the Dodgers.
Wall up the Giants in L.A. Well, the Padres looking to change their mojo. 9 straight losing seasons. It's been 14 years since San Diego has seen the postseason. Their last winning record came back in 2010. A late season slump last year dropped them to finish at 22 under 500. But expectations much higher this year. Mad Bum ahead of ball and 2 strikes.
Mad Bum has one regret this opening day of the 2020 season. It's the fact that he doesn't get to hit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, you know it.
I regret it. I mean, I was looking forward to that, but we understand the new rules. DH full-time in the National League. Here's a look at the Diamondbacks defensively against Manny Machado. Ketel Marte at second, almost up the middle behind the bag.
Yeah, Bumgarner, if you haven't seen him pitch before, he really hides the ball well. Turns his back to the hitter, hides that ball out behind his body. He steps a little bit to the first base side of the mound and then throws back across his body. Really tough for hitters, especially left-handed hitters, to pick up his deliveries.
2-2 misses upstairs. There's that hard cutter from Mad Bum, and it's a full count 3-2 with Tommy Pham, one of the new acquisitions, on deck for the Padres. Mad Bum's last tune-up effort came Sunday here at Chase Field. It was a simulated game. He went 5 innings, 78 pitches, and then rejoined the team out on the West Coast ahead of the start tonight. And the expected range for Madison for this ball game, somewhere likely between 90-95 pitches. Probably won't get more than that. Might use them all here against Machado.
Yeah, a bat like this early in the ball game runs that pitch count up. Obviously not what you're looking for if you're Torey Lovullo and Matt Hergis in that third base dugout, but Machado making him work.
There's Tommy Pham, acquired from Tampa Bay, and he really, I think, changes their dynamic. He's a tremendous player. Different look to the Padres this year, no doubt, including the brown and gold, which is back, and Mad Bum wears them down. Let's take a look around the diamond at the D-backs defense. That's brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
David Peralta, Starling Marte, and Cole Calhoun left to right across the outfield for the D-backs. Eduardo Escobar will be at third base. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Ketel Marte at second base. Jake Lamb over at first, with Carson Kelly doing the catching for lefty Madison Bumgarner.
Left fielder is Tommy Pham, acquired in December from the Rays in a trade that sent outfielder Hunter Renfroe to Tampa Bay. And Pham finally healthy. This guy does a lot of things very well. He had a UCL injury in his right elbow that bothered him last year, and then a positive COVID test this summer. So he was even delayed further than everybody else, and once he came back, he homered in back-to-back inter-squad games. So he was trying to make up for some lost time.
Pham does have a tendency to strike out quite often. I think it was about 123 times last year he punched out, but he also walked over 80 times.
And he crushed lefties last year. 340 for Tampa Bay against left-hand pitchers. Pham turned in a positive COVID test beginning of July. Reported to be asymptomatic, missed the first full week of camp workouts, wasn't cleared to rejoin the team until 2 weeks ago. There's that curveball for a strike, and it's 2-2. Came in with that four-seamer, and now after a long at-bat by Machado, the count is full on fan.
Yeah, you saw that cutter just slide inside off the corner of the plate. That's important for Madison Bumgarner when he misses the zone to miss in his favor. Doesn't throw nearly as hard as he used to. His average fastball around 91, 92. With that slider cutter hybrid, sometimes he'll throw it a little bit harder, sometimes a little bit softer and get more break. He really needs to locate that pitch well.
Jerickson Profar, another new acquisition. The second baseman would be next. He's batting cleanup tonight. Well, Mad Bum last year, mostly three pitches, four-seam fastball, cutter, and curve. Got it from Ted Barrett. He rings up Machado and gets Pham to end the first. Back after this. Gorgeous night there. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Renly back here in our booth at Chase Field in Phoenix with you on Fox Sports Arizona. As Eduardo Escobar leads off the second inning on opening day against right-hander Chris Paddack. Paddack got those high stirrups going. Brown and gold high stirrups.
Yes,
We've hit the lottery tonight.
I know you love the new unis.
I applaud the brown and gold wholeheartedly. Long overdue. Classic look. Nate Colbert, Ozzie Smith, you pick them.
Yep. Kurt Bavacqua.
There you go.
And I mean, they've got the whole look too. The yellow mustard and brown shoes, the belts have their numbers on them. They're yellow and brown, everything coordinated.
Escobar batting with his mask on. That's the Venezuelan flag on there. Chris Paddack out of Cedar Park, Texas. He's a big dude, 6'5", 217. There's that outstanding changeup. That is Paddack's bread and butter right there. He has got a tremendous change of pace. Padres have the overshift on the first base side against Escobar, batting left-handed. Got a fastball out over the middle at 96. Stays 1-2.
You may have noticed the stitching on Paddack's glove, on the thumb of his glove, says relentless. It's the mental approach he wants to have out there on the mound.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, Chris Paddack. He comes with a whole big bag of tricks. One of his trademarks is to be all business when it's his day to pitch, so he puts on a full suit and tie, cowboy hat and boots. He calls it arriving suited and booted.
There you go. Might be a little uncomfortable when he pitches here in Arizona, wearing a suit and cowboy boots and a hat. It's 115 degrees outside, but so be it.
Well, he is thrilled to be matched up with Mad Bum tonight. He said, you know, Bumgarner, a guy that everybody looked up to as a kid, so he called this a cowboy showdown tonight. Paddack and Bumgarner. On Escobar to chase that changeup. That's a big swing and miss pitch for him. That's his first strikeout. D-backs fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, stream them live on your mobile device or your tablet with Fox Sports Go. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Download the free app, take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. Good to see Christian Walker back in there tonight. Christian is the DH.
And anytime players miss the time that Christian Walker has recently, and we know he's been taking batting practice and doing some things to try to stay in rhythm with the game, smothers that one on the ground. That'll go foul. But catching up to that fastball, it'd be interesting to see if Christian Walker is on time against a big fastball from Chris Paddack.
Here's a little note for you. He is the first opening day DH in Diamondbacks history.
How about that, huh?
So he got that on the back of his bubblegum card sometime. But Christian coming off that groin strain. And Torre said he could have played first base tonight. If it was the last game of the season, he might play first base tonight. But why not just give him a day or two, ease him in there? But we will likely see Christian in the field at some point in this series, which is great news.
Yeah, that's one good thing about the DH. I mean, we're not going to get into that argument right now, but some people love it, some people hate it. But in this case, it gives Torre an opportunity to get Christian Walker's bat in the lineup and save that strained groin from playing defense.
Fastball just off the plate. Ted Barrett says strike two. You got to figure there's a Walker, Lamb, Crone sort of trifecta there that will rotate through the DH first base spots. Christian gets a fastball that Hosmer knocks down at first. Paddock hustles over to cover, but Walker beats it out. Adrian Johnson says safe at first. Skip Schumacher, the bench coach, on the phone. Padres, of course, have a new skipper. There he is, Jace Tingler, who came over from Texas. Here's a look.
Yeah, swung late on that fastball, but gets it by Hosmer far enough to allow Christian Walker to leg it out for an infield single. Paddock over there to cover the bag. Very close, but certainly appeared like Walker beat.
And looks to be running very well, Bob, coming off that groin injury, which is a good sign.
Surprisingly well getting down that first base line. Of course, when you're sniffing that base hit, it's amazing how much more speed you can find.
Some incentive. First D-backs at bat for Cole Calhoun. Chops at that changeup. Paddock left that up just a bit. Calhoun for the fourth consecutive season. Diamondbacks have a different right fielder on opening day. His numbers last year with the Angels. The Valley native back with a hometown team. Paddock, 25 pitches, 20 strikes. He's not messing around. He comes right at you with that big fastball.
Right, it seems to have a little extra giddy up when he elevates it, like he did right there to Cole Calhoun. That four-seamer up in the zone in the mid to upper 90s. Very tough to catch up with if he can keep that ball up above the top of the zone.
Padres have the overshift on against the left-hand batter in the infield anyway. Grisham in the center, shaded a step or two over toward left center field. Fastball right down Broadway. Cole Calhoun signed as a free agent in December, 2 years, $16 million. And in talking with Torrey today, he was pointing out, you know, this is, you got a healthy Peralta, a healthy Lamb, you bring in Starling Marte, you bring in Cole Calhoun. It really stretches out this lineup. It's a lot deeper than we've seen it in recent seasons, I think. See if this is playable. It's in the empty seats at Petco.
Opposite field pop up that time. Went into the seats down the left field line. One thing we saw from Cole Calhoun in the initial spring training and then again in the summer camp, when he got to 2 strike counts, he was more than willing to shoot that ball to the opposite field. A number of his hits in the Cactus League came to that gap in left center field with 2 strikes.
You can see he's a guy that's going to grind out the at-bats. He'll work the count, see a lot of pitches. Just like that. Calhoun with surprising power. You saw the numbers a moment ago. Last year, 33 homers and 63 extra base hits for the Angels, both career highs. Catcher Carson Kelly on deck. Here's Dave McKay coaching at first.
Hey, partner, back in my days as a manager of the Diamondbacks, I would have relished an empty stadium in San Diego. They had some real good jockeys up in the seats right behind the third base dugout. Oh,
Gonzo's buddy, was he San Diego?
Well, yeah, he was San Diego, but he was out in left field most of the time.
Not metaphorically. That one gets by Profar at second. Walker hustles into third. A bullet off the bat of Cole Calhoun. Back-to-back one-out hits for the Diamondbacks. They got something cooking here.
Nice grinding at bat there by Cole Calhoun. He missed a couple of very hittable pitches early in the at-bat. Profar had all kinds of issues with that smash. He's playing over in the hole a little bit. One hopper.
Ooh, that might have hit Hosmer.
It looked like it hit somebody. Yeah, the ball was deflected away from Profar right there.
Profar's defense has been less than stellar. They really brought him in for the bat. take one more look, see if we can pick it up.
Yeah, off Hosmer's glove and almost hit Christian Walker in the back of the helmet as he was headed to second base.
A chance for Carson Kelly, first and third, one out. You're going to see consistent 95, 96 from Paddock. Carson last year, 18 homers. He knocked in 47. A very good first half, cooled off mightily in the second half.
And we've talked about that throughout spring. I think it was very much a learning process for Carson Kelly, a guy that had obviously been a starter at the minor league level, but most of his major league time was spent watching Yadier Molina do his thing in St. Louis. So for Carson, the first real opportunity to be an everyday catcher, and I think understandably he might have run out of gas a little bit at the end of the season.
Well, Torre said today they're going to count on Carson in a very heavy manner this season. That means being back there far more often than not, catching Madison Bumgarner as often as possible. He is the catcher. Everybody else is number two. It's funny, you know, Paddock throughout this entire second inning has been ahead in the count virtually from the get-go, but he has really had to work out there. Walker's at third, Calhoun's at first with one out. Carson on the ground, right to Tatis. Profar for one, and there's the second double play in 2 innings behind Chris Paddock. They are scoreless in San Diego.
This is my cutter grip. Call it a slider sometimes, depending on the size of the movement. Sometimes I'll get around it a little bit more to try to get a little more break. Sometimes I'll stay behind it just a touch more. But that's the grip that I go with. I just kind of, it's just like an offset four-seam grip, and I just throw it from the outside part of the baseball pretty much.
That's Madison Bumgarner, who sat down with us in spring training this year, talking about that cutter. We'll see it a whole lot. We'll have that over the course of the season with all our D-backs pitchers who were kind enough to spend some time with us. We appreciate it. Jerickson Profar, the cleanup man, leads off the San Diego second. Well, that's a pitch, Bob, that has just, it seems, taken over. Everybody has a cutter.
Well, it's not a very hard pitch to throw for most guys. You heard Madison Bumgarner talk about it. He uses his fastball grip. When he throws his fastball, his fingers stay behind the baseball and gets a true or four-seam rotation.
Line to Lamb at first, 4 up, 4 down for Medbum.
Now on the cutter, rather than keep your fingers behind the baseball as you release, he tries to hold it a little bit off center so the ball doesn't come out with true backspin. It has a little bit of an axis. If the ball cuts through the wind, it builds up air molecules below the baseball and causes it to move in that direction. For a right-handed pitcher, for a lefty, it goes the other way, obviously, but it's just a matter of holding the ball a little bit off center. You heard him say if he wants to throw a slider, he'll get completely around the side of the ball, get more break on the pitch, more of an off-speed pitch.
It's interesting how he can take that and manipulate the break on it. Here's Hosmer now from the left side. Hosmer now 30 years old. His 10th major league season, his third with the Padres. Let's see if this is playable. It's out deep to left and off the base of the wall for Peralta. And it's a long single for Eric Hosmer. First hit given up by Madison Bumgarner.
That ball carried a lot farther than it looked like it was going to off the bat. That's the cutter right there. Unfortunately, leaves it out there over the plate. Hosmer, he's not sure where the ball was initially when it came off his bat. Pops it down that left field side. David Peralta chases it back to the wall. One more step, maybe has a chance to make a play right there, but as it is, Hosmer on with a one-out single.
Ahead of Will Myers, the right fielder. See Ketel Marte up the middle near the bag at second. There's that slow curve from Madison for strike one. Myers now in his 6th season in San Diego. Last year, 239, 18 home runs. He struck out last year in bunches. By far the highest strikeout rate of his career, about 35%. A lot of folks thought when they opened up in Peoria this spring he might not be here, Wil Myers. They were talking about moving him. There's Ted Barrett, the plate umpire. Time now for today's Taco Bell take. BB, you're up.
Well, we could give you a lot of baseball lingo and stuff like that, but the reality is right now, the Taco Bell take is wash your hands, socially distance, and wear a mask. The players, the fans, everybody.
The broadcasters.
The broadcasters. We want to keep this thing rolling. We want to see exciting baseball in October.
Madison Bumgarner with his 3rd strikeout. He rings up Wil Myers. That's the 4-seamer at 88. He got the call from Ted Barrett.
He's gotten the call from Ted Barrett several times in this game already. He's wide on both sides of the plate so far in the early going, and a veteran pitcher like Madison Bumgarner will learn to take advantage of that. That's the 4-seam fastball you mentioned, just off that inside corner at 89 miles an hour.
Oh, Mad Bum has struck out 3 of the first 6 Padres he's faced. The DH is Ty France, who we saw a bit last year. Hits this one pretty deep to right center. Marte runs it down. Starling Marte into the wall. And Madison Bumgarner strands that one out single. They've played 2, no score at Petco Park. Back after this. On Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Corona Premier, 90 cals, 2.6 carbs, the exceptional light beer. By Fullerton Financial Planning, where retirement dreams come true. And by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Sign up for the card at any of the Gila River locations. Well, Chris Paddack called it a Cowboys showdown. Paddack and Bumgarner, Padres and Diamondbacks. Jake Lamb leads off a scoreless 3rd. There's that changeup. Get used to that. He has got a good one.
Yeah, the 5th 0-2 count of the ball game already for Chris Paddack. He's also had a couple of 1-2 counts, consistently jumping ahead with that heater.
All the numbers on Jake last year. Disappointing season offensively. It was in San Diego Petco Park last year. April 3rd, in fact, where he was rounding first base and his left quad just exploded. And it cost him half the season. Didn't come back until June 26th. Fastball out over the plate, driven deep to left center. Grisham will play it off the wall. Lamb has extra bases. Welcome back to San Diego, Jake Lamb. It's a leadoff double.
Got that. Love that opposite field stroke. So many pitchers get ahead in the count and then try to get hitters out away. If you can stay on that ball and drive it to the opposite field the way Jake Lamb does right here, you can get yourself some 2-strike knocks.
Well, the D-backs in the 2nd inning had 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Carson Kelly hit into a double play to end the threat. And now in the 3rd, it's a leadoff double for the number 9 man, Nick Ahmed. Here's Nick, his 5th opening day start at shortstop, a new D-backs record. Numbers last year, virtually career highs in every category. There's 82 RBIs, 81 came as a shortstop. That was a new Diamondbacks record. And he starts him off with a changeup. It's 0-1. Nick now 30 years old, his 7th season with the Diamondbacks, and he's got a nice brand new 4-year contract in his back pocket. That got done just as spring training initially opened up. As That fastball. So Nick signed up to stay in D-backs colors through his age 33 season. Said he'd rather be in Arizona than anywhere else, and we're thrilled to have him back.
Another 0-2 count, the 6th in the 9 hitters that he's faced so far.
He's had traffic on the bases in every inning. 2 double plays so far have helped out. And back to that changeup, and Paddock gets his 2nd strikeout.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Ketel Marte in the leadoff spot. He blooped a single into left to start the ball game, so already 1 for 1. One hit would have made the difference for Ketel last year. He missed the National League batting title by percentage points over Christian Yelich. They actually tied Yelich for the title at the end of the year with a rounded off 329, but Yelich rounded out to 329.2. Ketel was 328.6. So he would have become the first D-back player ever to win a batting title. Came up just shy.
Well, it's not out of the question that Ketel Marte will be challenging for batting titles in the future.
Oh, yeah. And MVP awards. Fastball is a strike, and again Paddock is ahead 0-2.
Seven of the 10 hitters he's faced, he's been ahead 0-2. That's remarkable.
And yet he's given up so far 4 hits. Chris Paddock, originally drafted out of high school in Cedar Park, Texas, an 8th round pick by the Marlins back in 2015, and was traded a year later to the Padres in a deal for Fernando Rodney, and then almost immediately after that trade had Tommy John surgery. So Paddock rehabbed all of 2017, brought back slowly in the minors in 2018. And then as a rookie last year was treated with kid gloves, to say the least. They quickly identified this guy as a future ace, and he was handled very carefully last year. Fastball back to the mound. They look Lamb back to second, retire Marte. Now it's up to David Peralta. At Paddock last year, he got 6 days between starts. They sent him down to the minors in June for that, sort of mid-season break, save some innings. His pitch count was capped in the 90s for every start. He did not throw 100 pitches in any start last year. They were not messing around coming off Tommy John surgery. But now this year, all restrictions are gone, and he can cut it loose.
And get used to that sight, fans. Players checking the cheat sheet that they carry in their back pocket with all the sign stealing that's gone on the last couple of years. Everybody's just a little paranoid going into the 2020 season. So catchers giving multiple signs, occasionally with nobody on base. 4th set of signs. Let's see. We better get together here. Maybe we've got different cards.
Well, if you hear a trash can banging, you'll know what's up, but especially in an empty ballpark
it'd
like
be
that.
Tough not to hear it in an empty ballpark.
We'll remind you we're back with you tomorrow, fans, for Game 2 of the 60-game season. D-backs pregame show at 5:30 on Fox Sports Arizona. Robbie Ray on the mound against Nelson Lamet. 6:10 first pitch. Peralta hit into a double play in the first. He's 0 for 1. And he's off that change. Great Train batting second tonight. Torey Lovullo said he'd gone around in 1,000 circles regarding lineup construction, trying to come up with that winning formula. And he feels like 1 through 9. He's got some room to maneuver within the lineup, but he said absolutely. His lineup design is 100% predicated around that 3-batter minimum rule. Trying as best he can to create potential matchup problems for the opposing manager. Peralta grounds that to Profar. Speaking of Torey Lovullo, our first Torey time of the year is next when we come back. Our first Torey time. Torey, what's the one thing you missed most about baseball during the shutdown?
Being around the guys, the camaraderie, conversations, giving the hugs, giving the high fives, sharing the good times and the bad times with everybody that tries to make something special happen every single day.
That's our first Torey time this year as Francisco Mejia, the Padres catcher, leads off the San Diego third. And you saw the hashtag Torey time. Fans, if you have something that you want to ask the Diamondback skipper, put it on a tweet on the Twitter, use the hashtag Torey time, and we'll see if we can work it in. We'll have those for you throughout the season. And thanks to Torey. We had to zoom the first. They always zoom everything these days, but.
And if I'm not mistaken, partner, in the background there, I think I saw a Milwaukee Brewers helmet. Was that a Don Money helmet?
That was the old school Don Money. Early.
Nice.
Don Money was my guy. Early Brewers. Brewers went back to the Don Money uni look this year. They have some sharp new uniforms as well. We won't see them this year, unfortunately. So Mejia is the catcher. He and Austin Hedges going to split the catching duties in San Diego. And Mejia is the offensive threat. They're waiting for the defensive duties to sort of catch up to the bat. And they have a new addition. Speaking of Milwaukee, former Brewer Trent Grisham is the center fielder. He's on deck. Mejia is a free swinger. He is not shy. Numbers last season: 60 games behind the plate, 52 starts. He was injured twice on the injured list last year. And he lines that to third. Eduardo Escobar is there, 1 out in the third. So we've seen Tommy Pham, the new left fielder. We've seen Profar, the new second baseman. This is the new center fielder, and it's a guy that they figure to see in their outfield for a long time. Trent Grisham, who was picked up from Milwaukee in November along with Zach Davies in a deal for Eric Lauer and Luis Urias. His numbers last year with the Brewers: he was Milwaukee's minor league player of the year last season. And this guy does a lot of things well. He's only 23. They traded Manuel Margot to Tampa Bay just before spring training opened up in Peoria to clear a spot for this youngster. And they really like what he can do. They think he'll hit lefties. But he's dropped down in the order tonight against the left-hander Mad Bum. There's the strike, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, it's been somewhat of a revolving door out there in center field for the Padres over the last number of years. I mean, we've seen Will Myers out there. I'm blanking on the name. Travis Jankowski.
Yeah.
Some center field. They've run a number of guys out there to that position. They're hoping Trent Grisham is the answer.
Well, you may remember Trent Grisham for the Brewers last October playing right field. He overran that ball in the 8th inning of the wild card game. Remember that, with the bases loaded?
Yep.
Cleared the bases. Brewers had a 3-1 lead in the 8th, and it was a stunning loss. And the Nationals wound up as World Series champs. And he just felt sick for Grisham after that, but he handled it extremely well. And Madison Bumgarner has his 4th strikeout. Arizona Diamondbacks 2021 schedule is out now, fans. D-backs home opener comes up April 9th. You can learn more about how you can get your tickets for 2021. Text 602-462-4600 or check out dbacks.com. Fernando Tatis Jr. flying out his first time. I remember watching that game, that crazy wild card game, and thinking, oh, that poor kid. I mean, they had the game right there. 8th inning, 3-1. Just a nightmare.
But you're right. Trent Grisham really manned up after the ball game. He stood there and answered all the questions, took the heat. Yeah. You know, A lot of guys would go hide in the training room or in the lunch room and try to dodge the reporters, but he stood there and took it like a man.
Well, he's got a new start now in San Diego.
I don't know if there's a worse feeling in the world than when something happens like happened to Grisham. The ball gets behind you and you're running after the baseball while you know runners are streaking around the bases behind you, and you've got all that time to think, oh man, I just booted a ball, I'm going to cost my team the game, but you still have to complete the play. I don't know if there's a worse feeling in the game.
With your back to the diamond,
yeah,
running after the ball. It seemed like it's such a routine play too, just one of those things. First time through the order for Madison Bumgarner. 4 strikeouts, only 1 base runner, the Hosmer single in the second. He has set down the last 4 batters he's faced, but behind on the Padres shortstop, 3-1. Escobar, long throw from third. Tatis can really run. And it's a 1-2-3 third for Madison Bumgarner. Starling Marte, the new center fielder, leads off the 4th. Diamondbacks basemen will love this. It's the Diamondbacks exclusive MLB Ballpark app. If you love to play all the games here at the ballpark, and we know you can't be here with us, this is the answer. You download it on your phone. You can play the D-backs match game that everybody loves. You can play the high-low game. You can bet on different races and things. There's a fan poll on there, the hot dog derby. It's all on your phone. I'm telling you, this thing is addictive. I've been playing the match game 24/7. And the more you play, the more points you earn. There are competitions for prizes awarded to all the top scorers, and there's a new competition every day. So check it out, the MLB Ballpark app. It's the D-backs version, so every day is a new competition. You can get on there, compete in your games. You can do trivia, do the Legends race, D-backs match. This is a fantastic thing. And it can keep you busy while you're waiting around, doing what you got to do. And it's one of those things where you get on your phone and forget it, you're hooked. It is really, really cool.
Yeah, not to mention you can play that match game, and unlike when you're here at the ballpark and don't match them up, they boo you.
Yeah.
At home, unless your spouse doesn't like you much, you won't get booed.
And if you go on there right away, once you download the app and click on the games, you'll see our Fox Arizona fan poll. Now, we'll do this every day. And the fan poll up today, and you got points, by the way, for answering. Which D-backs pitcher will have the best season? You have 4 choices: Bumgarner, Ray, Weaver, or Gallen. So download the Ballpark app and vote. Get your points, and we'll have the results of the poll later in the broadcast. They do that, the high-low where the number comes up and, okay, it's, Madison Bumgarner, number 40. Is the next uniform number higher or lower? Oh, my goodness. That thing will drive you nuts. But you can't stop playing.
You know what else drives you nuts is hitting line drives right at somebody.
Yeah,
Eduardo Escobar right to Eric Hosmer at first base that time for the second out here in the 4th.
That's 5 in a row set down by Paddock, who's got 3 strikeouts. Looks like a beautiful day in San Diego, as always. Our thanks to our Fox Sports colleagues out there for giving us these camera shots. Got the 2 trucks talking to each other, the truck at Petco Park and our Fox Arizona truck here at Chase Field. And our crew has done a magnificent job coordinating all of that. Director Brian Moss, producer Jeff Gowen, Paul Krause on the graphics, everybody in there. This is no small feat to pull this off, so we appreciate all their efforts. Walker, the DH, and a base hit his first time up, coming off that groin injury, which was a grade 1, by the way, which is the least severe, which was great news for Christian. He worked out here at Chase Field while the D-backs were playing those exhibitions in Los Angeles, and then joined the team out in San Diego. Fastball knocked the other way. Will Myers in right field, and Paddock works a 1-2-3 fourth. He set down 6 straight. Still no score at Petco Park.
Big family from San Diego. Favorite player is Jake Lamb. Go D-backs!
Oh, we love the Drakes.
Yeah. Love the Drakes.
They're from San Diego, but they love the D-backs and Jake Lamb. Thanks for doing that, Drakes.
Can't blame them.
Glad to have you with us here on Fox Sports Arizona. Manny Machado leads off the fourth against Madison Bumgarner, who so far has given up only one hit, a Hosmer single in the second. He's got 4 strikeouts. Machado was one of those back in the first. Machado coming off a season during which, and he himself said it, he just didn't put up the numbers he expected to put up. And to his credit, he said, look, nothing to pinpoint, no excuse. The numbers just weren't there. So they're hoping that changes this year. As bunt pulls back, takes ball 2.
That must be something Manny was working on in the offseason, bunting for a base hit leading off an inning. I don't believe I've ever seen him show bunt before.
Oh, the way he can slug it, you might not want to do that too often. There's that 4-seamer in for a strike, and it's 2-1. Bumgarner has retired the last 5 he's faced, coming off a 1-2-3 third. Big swing and a miss. There's the cutter. We showed you that grip earlier, 2-2.
It's really kind of a unique pitch for Madison Bumgarner. I'm sure there are other pitchers that do something similar, but we heard him talking about if he wants the slider to break a little more, he gets around the baseball a little bit more. It takes off some velocity and adds more break. If he wants the short, sharp cutter, basically it's just his 4-seam fastball that he holds a little bit off center. Get that ball spinning on a different axis and cause it to cut a little bit away from a left-handed hitter into a right-handed hitter.
So do seeing a number of those sort of cutter slider hybrids make his fastball, which is roughly 90 or so, seem to have a little more zip on it then?
I think so, because he uses the cutter so often.
Machado reaches down and pokes that to center, a leadoff single, the second hit for San Diego. Hey fans, don't forget our D-backs 50-50 charity raffle supported by the Arizona Lottery is in play. And you can get your tickets online right now, dbacks.com/50-50 raffle. Jackpot's already over $3,800. And you can win half that amount or more and help the kids in our community. Online sales start at 10 in the morning on game days, and you can buy your tickets up until the end of the 8th inning. And we'll have the winning number at dbacks.com/50-50 raffle and on the D-backs Live postgame show. Tommy Pham looks at ball 1. Madison Bumgarner. You know, I knew he was a big dude, but when you stand next to him, he's like a mountain. I mean, 6'4", 255, and he's got that Paul Bunyan sort of vibe going anyway, but boy, he is a large human. I think that just sort of adds to that mystique, that presence that he's got, which I think they really missed when they traded Zach Greinke last year.
Oh, there's a presence there. There's no doubt about that.
All right, then.
All right, then. Heard a lot of Madison Bumgarner stories in the past about fixing the team bus when it broke down in the middle of the night in Colorado.
And lifts that one high in the air, center field for Starling Marte. Machado will stay put at first.
And when you call Madison Bumgarner a cowboy, that's not an exaggeration by any stretch of the imagination. This guy, he's a team roping with his father-in-law. He goes to rodeos. He competes in rodeos.
He rides horses, and he is himself a horse.
Yeah.
At least 30 starts and at least 200 innings in 7 of the last 9 seasons.
Jeremy Affeldt, former teammate of Madison Bumgarner's, tells a great story about having Madison and his wife over to Jeremy Affeldt's house one night. And he brought his rope and lasso with him and had Jeremy running around the backyard while Mad Bum lassoed him. Said he was lassoing the patio furniture. And he does everything else other than throw a baseball right-handed.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
Spins Profar around.
Says he shoots a bow and arrow right-handed, he bats right-handed, he writes right-handed, and he ropes right-handed, but he pitches from the left side. That's all we care about.
He grew up on that farm in North Carolina riding horses. He said he'd never roped, and then when he started dating his wife Allie, her parents roped, and that's how he kind of got into it. Now he says we're just roping all winter long. And of course there's that story that got off track a little bit, that he gave his wife Allie a cow for their wedding present. It was actually a birthday gift. They did get married on Valentine's Day, and he wore jeans to his wedding.
There you go.
There's Mad Bum. Profar lifts that one high in the air, foul ground, third base side. Carson Kelly's got a beat on it, and he's got it into the screen. Carson Kelly. There's a lot to negotiate there, Bob, with that on-deck circle, isn't it?
It really is. You're looking straight up into the evening sky, and you know that third baseman is getting close. Ideally, you're getting help from the guys over there in the vicinity, but Carson able to make the catch right up against the netting. Even he has to check his glove to make sure it stayed in there. Nice play.
A lot of furniture to deal with there. So 2 on, Machado still at first, and the batter is Eric Hosmer, who singled in the first. He's 1 for 1.
And nice job by home plate umpire Ted Barrett to get over there and get a real good look at that. If that ball brushes the netting before going into Carson's glove, it's a dead ball. Ted Barrett got himself over there in a position where he had a real good look at that catch up against the screen.
They're going to make sure Machado is near the bag. Madison kind of having some fun with him, it looks like. Wayne Kirby's over there, the Padres' new first base coach. That was the cutter, kind of got away from him a bit. Hosmer last year really struggled against lefties. .231 and 1 home run against left-hand pitchers. And they started thinking, you know, I know we're paying this guy a lot of money, but do we have to platoon him against lefties? Have we come to that? So they're looking for a big bounce back in that regard. And Hosmer consistently hit left-hand pitching this year. They had some right-hand options there if need be. They could put Will Myers at first. Ty France is another candidate. And we'll see how it goes. That one misses away. Another cutter, and it's 2-1. There's Ketel Marte well back in the outfield grass at second.
A little bit of a shift for Hosmer. Nick Ahmed cheats up the middle of the field just a tad. Eduardo Escobar well off the line at third. But as you said, Ketel Marte playing a straight up second base position, but doing it out in shallow right field. Outfield shaded a step or two the opposite way for Eric Hosmer.
Bumgarner trying to strand that leadoff single. 2-2 on Hosmer with 2 outs.
Really good pitch right there, and a really good defensive swing by Eric Hosmer. 88 miles an hour, a couple inches off that outside corner at the knees. Just kind of flicked the bat out there at the last instant just to get a piece of it. Too close to take.
Especially with the way Ted Barrett's been calling him.
Yeah.
Everything around the edge has pretty much been a strike, which is fine. Went to the curveball. Hosmer drills it deep to right. Cole Calhoun has just enough room. And we've played 4, or they have in San Diego. We are scoreless. Fans, T-Mobile is your ticket to the game now through August 3rd. Customers can score free MLB.TV at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Beautiful sunset in San Diego as always. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly here at Chase Field in Phoenix on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs and Padres on opening day. Madison Bumgarner and Chris Paddack in the Cowboys showdown. Diamondbacks have had their chances so far. Marte a leadoff single in the first. That was erased by a double play. They had first and third, one out in the second. That was also erased by a double play. And then Lamb's leadoff double to start the third was wasted as Paddack has set down 6 in a row as we open up the 5th inning.
You know, partner, over the last couple of years, analytics have pretty much taken over the game of baseball, and the tendency is to get the ball in the air, try to hit it out of the ballpark. But I think in this shortened season, and how important it is to take a lead in the ball game, make your opponent play from behind, you might see some small ball come back into the game.
Profar knocks that one down. They retire Calhoun to start the 5th.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at those participating locations.
Who says there's no fans? Those are some Padre fans across the street in downtown San Diego. We've talked about in years past the remarkable development around that ballpark. They have really put up the buildings as fast as they can build them. Carson Kelly grounded out to end a threat in the second. Hit into a double play. 0 for 1. There's the occasional curveball. That's a pitch that Paddack has really worked on a lot. He's trying to get a third pitch to go along with that fastball changeup combo, and the curveball he thinks is it. It's not quite there yet. There's another one back to back. Machado's got it at third. And we're starting to see that curveball now the second time through the order.
That's much like Madison Bumgarner uses his straight changeup. He's going to be mostly fastball, cutter, slider, but second and third time through the lineup, especially against tough hitters, you might see Mad Bum go to the straight changeup, and we're seeing Chris Paddack second time through the order going to some curveballs.
He worked on that pitch a lot in the offseason, showed up in Peoria this spring with some tighter action on it. Velocity was up a bit. There's Lamb, who doubled to lead off the third. He was left stranded there. And Paddack would like to get to the point with that curveball where he feels good enough to throw it in virtually any count. But it's still primarily fastball changeup. There's the overshift against Lamb.
And the 6 hitters before Jake Lamb, Chris Paddack had thrown a total of 15 pitches. You remember the first time through the lineup I was remarking he's 0-2 on everybody. He's 0-2 on everybody, pounding that fastball in the strike zone. So this time through the lineup, the Diamondbacks have been much more aggressive attacking those early count pitches.
Changeup well up in the zone for a strike, and it's 2-1. Another change, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nick Ahmed hoping to get a chance. Diamondbacks have not had a base runner since Lamb's double to start the third. Paddack has set down 8 straight. And now he's running full on Jake, 3-2. The fastball. How do you be ready to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball knowing that the guy has a killer changeup?
That's the eternal question. That's why I'm up here in the booth. I don't know. The conventional wisdom always was be ready to hit the opposing pitcher's fastest pitch, and then adjust off of that. The theory being you can always slow yourself down a little bit, but you can't speed yourself up in the middle of the swing. So, like I said, conventional wisdom has always been to be ready to hit the other guy's best pitch, his fastest pitch, and then just try to adjust as best you can to that devastating changeup.
It's just got so much drop and movement on it too, especially down and away from the lefty. There's 3 straight fastballs, and Jake has fouled all of them off. So if you're Lamb right here, okay, I've seen 3 straight fastballs. Sooner or later, he's got to throw me that change, right?
Well, you think so, but if you think too much, you're going to walk back to the dugout.
Can only hurt the ball club.
Just see it and hit it. Keep it simple.
Let's see what he's got here. Another 3-2 coming. Went to that curve and missed upstairs.
It reminds me of a story when I played with the Giants back in the day, and we went to Montreal, and we were in the midst of a horrible team slump. I mean, everybody was slumping. And the coaches called a meeting, and in Montreal, the old ballpark there, the coaches' room was like 8 by 10. So we jammed all the coaches, all the players into that one little room, the position players. And one of the coaches, who shall remain nameless, stood up and said, "I don't know what you guys are doing, but just get up there and hit it."
That's good coaching.
And Champ Summers, one of my teammates, says, "Gee, why didn't we think of that?" You know, and everybody in the room had a good laugh about it, and it did lighten the mood a little bit. And believe it or not, we started to hit a little bit better after that meeting.
Hey, Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that.
Don't do it. Just get up there and hit the ball. Oh, that's what we're supposed to do. See, that's good coaching.
Isn't it, though? Nick Ahmed struck out his first time. Paddock has walked 1 now, struck out 3. Nick with Lamb at first and 2 outs.
You're talking about how do you hit a guy that throws 98 miles an hour and has a changeup that's 20 miles an hour slower than that. Cito Gaston, when he was my manager in Toronto, but initially he was the hitting coach. And he had a theory: if you're going to face a guy that relies heavily on one pitch, whether it's a hard slider, a straight changeup, a guy that throws a lot of cutters, why sit on his fastball if you're not going to get it? And the chances are, if he uses his fastball, he's going to use it to set up whatever his signature pitch is. So it's probably not going to be in the strike zone. So why not turn around and look for what you think he's going to try to get you out with? And it worked on occasion. Guys that like to throw their slider a lot, you go to the plate and look for that speed. Guys that maybe had a real good changeup like Chris Paddock, give up on the fastball and sit on the changeup.
And that's why Paddock wants to get that curveball going, so guys can't sit on that changeup.
Of course, the problem with Paddock giving up on the fastball is he's thrown it in the strike zone so often, you're going to find yourself behind in the count.
And he comes right at you with a big fastball. Ahmed knocks it the other way. Get down ball. Nope, Myers is there, and he strands the 2-out walk. Bottom 5 on the way. Beautiful night in San Diego on opening day. No score.
I love that he's on our side now.
I'm glad to not have to face him every 5 days.
A guy that's going to definitely be the workhorse.
I'm just glad he's on our team. I don't have to face him anymore.
He's a guy I've admired from a distance for a while now.
He's a tough at-bat. He's been in the game for quite a long time.
Well, we'll give you one guess. Madison Bumgarner, his new teammates, talking about him, and he has been terrific so far through 4 innings. Madison has retired 12 of the 14 Padres he's faced. He's given up only 2 singles. He's not walked a batter, and he struck out 4. Will Myers leads off the Padre 5th.
Adbum had a nice efficient second inning through only 10 pitches. You get a look here. Yeah, that's close. Threw 10 pitches in the second, 14 in the third, so he's got that pitch count in a reasonable area going into the 5th inning here.
Drops that curveball in for a strike, and it's 1-2.
You know, listen to all his teammates talk about not having to face him anymore. That reminds me of when we got Mike Myers, the sidearm lefty from the Colorado Rockies. The happiest person in the world was Luis Gonzalez because he didn't have to face him anymore.
Got to keep Gonzo happy. First rule around here.
That's absolutely true.
2-2.
Partner, you mentioned it earlier. Carson Kelly is the everyday catcher, figures to be back there the overwhelming majority of the games this year. And I think it's very important to watch the relationship develop between Madison Bumgarner and Carson Kelly. I mean, you think about Mad Bum, there's one guy he's thrown to pretty much his whole career, Buster Posey. So it might take a little while to learn what pitches does he like to throw in certain situations. If we're ahead in the count, if we're behind in the count, where are we at in the lineup? You'll learn his idiosyncrasies, what he likes to do in certain situations, and there won't be any shaking of the head. Carson Kelly will know exactly what his left-hander wants to throw, and that's when things will really start to click and work smoothly.
And Madison is not the chattiest guy ever, but it's interesting. Carson says, you know, he's a talker. We have conversations all the time, and he initiates many of them. There's a leadoff walk in the 5th. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is being brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today and get big savings. Shop NissanUSA.com. First base on balls issued by Mad Bum tonight. DH Ty France steps in now. France was the MVP in the Pacific Coast League last year. Had a big season in AAA. Also saw action in just under 70 games as a rookie for the Padres last year. He put up some monster numbers in the Coast League. Jammed him that time. Popped up for Lamb. So France 0 for 2 brings up the catcher Francisco Mejia.
Yeah, partner, you've heard me talk about inning management, and this is one of those innings right here. Mad Bum wants to bear down, get the 8-9 hitter in this Padre lineup, end the inning, and then roll back around to the top of the order with nobody on base. It's a little more challenging facing Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado with runners on base or runners in scoring position. So let's get through these last two guys right here and make the top of the order start fresh.
That was an interesting pitch there. Took a little bit off that cutter. Dropped it in that back door against the right-hander, almost like a changeup that time. Talked earlier about how he can manipulate the ball, take a little bit off, add a little bit more here and there. Work to the other side of the plate, and it's 1-1. Madison spent the shutdown at home in North Carolina. Said his throwing program was pretty typical of his off-season work, maybe a little bit more intense, trying to maintain that arm strength he had built up in spring training. And again, just takes a tick off that cutter and keeps it away, and it's 1-2.
Partner, I've seen a few exhibition games. I watched the ball games yesterday. It just seems to me like pitchers are way ahead of the hitters right now, for the most part. A lot of very hittable pitches in the zone, sometimes elevated a little bit in the zone, and we're seeing some really good hitters either a little bit late, a little bit out front.
Escobar at third. They get one, and they turn the double play. How about that? That ends the 5th. No score at Petco Park.
Go in just a moment. Steve Berthiaume, of course, and Bob Brenly. And guys, if I could, I just wanted to offer a little something. I've been asked repeatedly over the last few weeks, and Stephen Bond, I'm sure you have as well. What's it going to be like not being on site for Diamondbacks road games? And I will tell you something that, you know, it's obvious you can't replace the live scene that we've all experienced for so many years, but there has been something I have discovered, and it happened very early on in March when the pandemic started, when I was doing a lot of Zoom interviews. And there's a high fly, Steve. You got that?
Grisham's got it.
One down.
So you were zooming?
Yeah, zooming for our social media platform at Fox Sports Arizona, and I noticed something. And it kept happening over and over and over again, and that was this. And Bob,
the Wi-Fi going out?
No, well, that too. But Bob, you were on one of those Zoom calls. We did the Diamondbacks 2001 anniversary, the reunion of the World Series champs, and I've noticed that people have really started to let their guard down because they're in their own comfort zone in their offices and their homes, and it's not in that studio setting, and that sometimes that can be kind of intimidating, and the temperature is elevated and there's a called first strike, and I'm starting to see guys say things that maybe they wouldn't normally say in the old interview situation, and I'm going to have a lot of fun, and I know Jody Jackson will as well, in trying to explore that. Like, for example, David DeLucci coming on and interrupting Randy Johnson wearing a Chewbacca hat. Like, that would never happen, right? But it did. And I've seen other examples of that in some of the Coyote Zoom interviews that I did that I just had never seen before. It's almost like a wall has gone away where people are looking at each other eye to eye, so to speak. And I think it will be fascinating as we sort of experience our way through that, swing and a miss, strike 3-2 down.
Who's zooming who?
Who's zooming who?
Are you good with the Zoom? Are you down with all that stuff? Another look at Peralta's strikeout.
So far.
Because sometimes getting you all your stuff turned on and logged in and everything.
Yeah, well.
That's, I mean, it keeps your staff pretty busy.
Busy? My staff?
They haven't had anything else to do. Starling Marte, 0 for 2.
Well, talking about David DeLucci poking some fun at Randy Johnson. That's the only time you can do it on a Zoom call, when you're across the country.
It's good policy. Saw Matt Strawn, the left-hander, warming up at the Padre bullpen. And once again, there's Paddock ahead 0-2. There's that curve, starting to see it a little more often here. Paddock's got a hustle, and he works a 1-2-3 6th inning, still scoreless in San Diego. Mutual Insurance field coverage. A couple of Gold Glovers picked up their hardware from last year for the Diamondbacks. David Peralta, his first career Gold Glove. Nick Ahmed, his second straight.
And David, with Starling Marte patrolling center field this year, won't have to cover nearly as much ground as he has in the past. Starling has tremendous range out there in center field, and boy, we have marveled at Nick Ahmed's defense at shortstop since he got to the big leagues.
All the Diamondback starting outfielders, Peralta, Marte, and Cole Calhoun, have Gold Gloves on the mantle. Frank Grisham now starts the 6th. Mad Bum so far has walked 1, struck out 4, and given up only 2 hits, both singles. Jake Lamb is there, our nationwide vision eye on the game. Bob, so far, Mad Bum as advertised.
Yeah, exactly as advertised. If you're expecting to see a big fastball and blowing people away, that's not his game. Working that 4-seam fastball on both sides of the plate, up and down, cutting that ball in on the right-handed hitters, mixing in the occasional changeup and curveball. This is vintage Mad Bum here tonight, pounding away at the edges of the zone.
Fernando Tatis Jr. 0 for 2, the shortstop bats lead off. He drives this out to deep right field. Cole Calhoun plays it high off the wall. Tatis can really run, and he's got a 1-out double. It's the 3rd hit for the Padres.
I was a little surprised earlier in the ballgame when Eric Hosmer went opposite field for a long single off the left field wall. Not surprised about this when he barrels it up to the opposite field. Fortunately, Cole Calhoun able to play it. It got real close to the fence out there. Unfortunately, when the ball ricocheted off the fence, it hit Cole and didn't get by him. That holds Tatis at second base.
Well, the Padres really improved their bullpen in the offseason. They added a couple of really nice pieces, Emilio Pagan, Drew Pomerantz. And if they can get a lead here, Jace Tingler might decide that Paddock is done for the night, even coming off a 7-pitch top of the 6th inning, and go to that pen if they can get the lead. We'll see. Machado now has struck out and singled. He's 1 for 2. This is chopped to shortstop. Ahmed has no play at 3rd. Tatis moves up with 2 outs. Baseball is back. The MLB app is the only place to get all your baseball action. You'll get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboard, standings, the whole thing. Download the MLB app today, the #1 app for live baseball. So a big out to get in the person of Tommy Pham with Tatis at third and 2 outs. Mad Bum at 80 pitches. We anticipate he'll be maxed out tonight somewhere between 90 and 95. Pham 0 for 2. Starts him off with a curveball.
Yeah, it'll make you think. You saw Tommy Pham right there. He threw me cutters, he threw me four-seamers. Slow curve third time through the order. Trying to process all that in that batter's box.
Well, Mad Bum hasn't been under too much pressure tonight. Machado had a single to center to lead off the 4th. The next 3 Padres went down in order. He walked Myers to lead off the 5th. Erased that on a double play ball to end that inning. And now with 2 outs, trying to strand Tatis at third in the 6th.
Nice job. The Diamondbacks catchers, pretty much throughout the history of the Diamondbacks organization, they've been blessed with really good defensive catchers that keep that ball in front with the runner at third. Carson Kelly does it perfectly right there.
Bullpen quiet for the moment for the Diamondbacks. Padres bullpen has been busy for a while now. Strahm is sitting down and Pagan is up, the right-hander. 2 balls and 1 strike on Tommy Pham. 2 and 2. Back to the cutter. Here is Emilio Pagan, one of their big acquisitions in the offseason. And that guy can really shut you down. Coming off a tremendous year last season in Tampa Bay, as is Tommy Pham. They were acquired in separate deals. 2-2. Can't get him to bite on the curve. Profar would be next. Madison at 85 pitches, 53 for strikes. Full count on Pham. Here it is. Try to tie him up with that cutter. Second walk of the ball game for Mad Bum, and now Profar is the hitter.
Just couldn't get him to chase that fastball up above the top of the zone right there. Very close to being a called strike. Could have been a situation where he wanted to pitch Pham very carefully, knowing he had Profar on deck, and maybe feels that his stuff matches up better against Profar than it did against Pham.
Tatis is at third. Pham at first with 2 down. Profar 0 for 2. There's his strike at 1-1. That's the pitch he just tried to throw. Profar, as a switch hitter last year with the Oakland A's, hit nearly all his home runs as a left-hand batter. But his average from the right side was .305 versus barely .190 from the left. And so he's batting cleanup for Jayce Tingler tonight. Right back up and in, that time with a slow cutter, and it's 0-2. Bullpen still quiet for Torey Lovullo. Carson Kelly would like a word.
Well, obviously the way both offenses have been misfiring here tonight, this is a huge at bat right here. Everybody wants to make sure they're on the same page. I'm sure part of this discussion is, what are we going to do should Tommy Pham break for second base? Padres possibly try to steal a run right here, but
there is Matt Hergis, the new pitching coach this year. different staff somewhat for Torey Lovullo this year. Matt Hergis, his first season as pitching coach, replacing Mike Butcher. Luis Urareta is the new bench coach, replacing Jerry Naron. Pipe has been on the staff for several years now. Back with you tomorrow. D-backs live pregame show at 5:30. First pitch 6:10. Game 2 of the 4-game set from San Diego. Robbie Ray against Nelson Lamet. Bumgarner a strike away from stranding 2. He has consistently worked Profar upstairs in this at bat.
I think that's something you're going to see a lot of around Major League Baseball in this abbreviated season. Guys pitching up in the zone. We saw it last year with all the emphasis on hitting the ball in the air and an uppercut swing. And pitchers just went up there a little bit higher than the hitters could get to.
The adjustment to the adjustment.
Yeah.
The fish out there at that curveball. Well, Mad Bum may be having some flashbacks to last year. He started opening day for the Giants against the Padres in San Diego and was outstanding. Gave up just 2 runs on 5 hits in 7 and had 9 strikeouts, but the Giants could not get a run across and he got stuck with a 2-0 loss. And again tonight, as he's hit 90 pitches, the game is still scoreless. Couldn't get him to bite on that curveball. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Jerickson Profar. As Pham moves into second.
Mad Bum still with a couple of pitches to play with in this sequence as you see Pham on the move. Well, going to let him take second base right there. That's probably part of what that meeting on the mound was. Let's not risk a throw into center field in a scoreless game.
Well, you have the left-hander Hosmer on deck. And a curveball. Might get him in the foot.
I think it might have. He was waving off the trainer as he ran down to first base.
Yeah. That's Jace Tingler, the new skipper for the Padres. Here's a look.
Looked like it might have skipped right across the top of his foot there. Another nice stop by Carson Kelly.
I think that might have landed between his feet. Yeah, I'm not so sure that hit him at all. There was no signal from Ted Barrett. And they're going to have a look.
Number 11.
Junior Guerra quickly starts to warm up in the Diamondback bullpen as this goes to review. Hit by pitch is subject to review. Adrian Johnson and Ted Barrett with the headphones on. I really don't think that hit him.
Didn't look like it that time. Hey, partner, we just missed an anniversary by 1 day.
Oh, no.
Back in 1999, as we take one more look, the ball appears to miss the front leg. Didn't look like it hit the back foot. Anyway, back in 1999, yesterday, July 23rd, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s father hit 2 grand slams in the same inning.
How about that?
Against the Los Angeles Dodgers. He went deep against Chan Ho Park with the bases loaded, came up later in the inning with the bases loaded once again, and they're going to call Profar back to the box saying it did not hit him.
Both grand slams off Chan Ho Park that day.
Park, I believe, threw 48 pitches in the inning, if my memory serves, in the inning.
How we looking? So Profar will have to go back. Still second and third, 2 outs, and it's a 2-2 count. Guerra warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Mad Bum at 92 pitches. Fernando Tatis Jr. is the runner at third. Tommy Pham at second with 2 outs. Big spot in the ball game right here. is off the high cutter, and it's full. He went full on Pham and lost him 3-2. Hosmer is on deck, the left-hander. Went to the curveball. Will not stay playable for Carson Kelly.
Yeah, fooled Profar badly with that curveball. Unfortunately, able just to get a piece and stay alive that time.
Well, next pitch is number 95. Torey Lovullo did not want to get into triple digits with Mad Bum tonight in terms of the pitch count. And Guerra has been warming up for a while now. There's one of the new acquisitions. So here it is on 3-2.
I guess the big question is if Madison Bumgarner would happen to lose Profar right here to ball 4 to load the bases. You almost have to leave Mad Bum in to face Hosmer.
Especially the way Hosmer, as we mentioned earlier, hit lefties last year, only about .230 with 1 home run. (3-2). He lost him, and the bases are loaded. So let's see what Torey Lovullo wants to do. Guerra is ready in the bullpen, the right-hander. Hosmer is the hitter. Third walk issued by Bumgarner, and the second in a row, so bases full, 2 down. Hosmer has singled and flied out. He's 1 for 2. 1 for 17 career against Bumgarner. Well, you've got right-handers coming up behind Hosmer and Myers in France, so this certainly figures to be Mad Bum's last hitter. Win, lose, or draw. Got that cutter up and in, and it's 0-2. Hosmer's strikeout rate has gone up each of the last 2 years. Last year, 163 punch-outs, a new career high. And Mad Bum a strike away from leaving the bases full. Tatis is at third, Pham at second, and Profar at first. Good speed on the bases. Pitch number 100 from Madison Bumgarner in his D-backs debut on the way. Hosmer gets it up in the air, deep to right field. Cole Calhoun won't get there. It's off the base of the wall. Tatis is home. Pham scores. And Profar's across. Eric Hosmer with a bases clearing double, and it's 3-0 San Diego.
Looked like more of a slider that time than the cut fastball. He threw 3 consecutive cut fastballs that Hosmer was late on every one of them, then took a little off, tried to get a little bit more break. Unfortunately left it in the strike zone, and Hosmer finds that gap in right center.
Profar running all the way with 2 outs, scores from first. Padre fans watching at home.
Oh, sit down.
And so that does it for Madison Bumgarner, who leads with 2 outs in the 6th, trailing 3-0. Back after this. San Diego at Petco Park. Fans, if you know someone who needs a new air conditioning system, Well, good news, the Chaz Roberts AC giveaway returns. You can nominate a family or a nonprofit organization that needs a brand new AC system. Log on to chazroberts.com/coolplay. Junior Guerra, the right-hander, is on from the Diamondback bullpen. Acquired in the offseason. 72 appearances for the Brewers last year, all in relief. He led all National League relievers with those 83 and 2/3 innings pitched. He works to Will Myers with Hosmer at second and 2 outs.
And a real example of perseverance is Junior Guerra.
What a story he is.
Oh, unbelievable.
It is. It might top David Peralta.
He was initially signed by the Braves as a catcher back in 01. He was converted to the mound in 06. The Braves released him. The Mets signed him. They released him. Played international ball in independent leagues for 6 years, including stops in Spain, Italy, Japan, Venezuela, Mexico, before eventually working his way back with the White Sox in 2015. Then the Brewers, as you mentioned, was a workhorse for the Brewers, and now in the desert.
He was their pitcher of the year, Junior Guerra, in Milwaukee in 2016, and in 2017 was their opening day starting pitcher. Converted into a reliever last year with much success. D-backs grabbed him in the offseason back in December, a 1-year, $2.6 million deal.
And his calling card is a split-fingered fastball. He throws it about 20 or 25% of the time, a pitch that he learned from former Giants reliever Gene Machi when they were playing together in winter ball.
No relief pitcher in the National League threw more innings last year than Junior Guerra, just over 83. A little wild here. He's got that mid-90s fastball to go with that split. And it's full on. Myers 3-2. Ty France, the DH, would be next. Each team with 4 hits. Padres lead at 3-0. For the last 5, Padre hitters have reached double, walk, walk, double. And now it's full on Myers. Tried the breaking ball and missed inside. Third base on balls issued in this inning by Diamondbacks pitchers. And the Suns are back in the bubble. They take on the Celtics Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. As the Sun season resumes next Friday, they'll take on the Wizards. Catch all the games right here on Fox Sports Arizona or Fox Sports Arizona Plus and streaming of the Fox Sports Go app. This man Hergis, the new pitching coach. 3 runs in for the Padres, 2 on and 2 out for France, who's 0 for 2. Ball in the dirt. Hosmer stays put at second. D-backs offense virtually non-existent with the exception of a couple of home runs in those 2 games in LA. So home runs from Marte and Vargas. Ketel Marte, but so far tonight held scoreless on 4 hits by Chris Paddock, and now they trail at 3-0. Guerra's all over the place.
Well, especially with that fastball. You mentioned the mid-90s, just kind of jerking it around, pulling it out of the zone.
We saw him in some mini-squad games and the exhibitions, and he looked terrific. Hosmer's at second and Myers at first. They walk Myers, now behind on France, 2-0.
Wow. That's the kind of swing on a 2-0 count that'll get you a meeting with the hitting coach after the game.
Why is that?
2-0, the count's in your favor. You're looking for one pitch, the one pitch that you dream about. probably wasn't that fastball off the outside corner to check swing. That's probably not what Ty France had in mind.
That's a fair ball out in front of home plate for Carson Kelly on the curveball. And they strand 2, but the Padres get 3. Eduardo Escobar, the cleanup man, leads off the 7th. Diamondbacks down 3-0. Presented by Cox. You can do it all on a D-backs new ballpark app. Interactive games, including the 50-50 charity raffle. Download, play games, and win. dbacks.com/ballpark app. Your specially designed ballpark app just for D-backs fans. Well, this is where the Padres really have an advantage this year. They have put together an outstanding bullpen, and this guy is one big reason why. Emilio Pagan, the right-hander, acquired from Tampa Bay in February, and he is nasty. 66 games for the Rays last year. He led Tampa Bay relievers in saves and strikeouts.
Four-seam fastball and a cutter that at times looks like a slider. Outstanding numbers for Pagan.
And Eduardo Escobar 0 for 2 leads off the 7th, the cleanup hitter for Torey Lovullo tonight. So Pagan on in relief of Paddock, who was outstanding. Paddock gave up only 4 hits, walked just 1, struck out 4, and retired 12 of the last 13 Diamondbacks he faced.
And may have been even more dominant than those numbers would say. He had 11 at bats where he retired an out on 3 or fewer pitches. As I mentioned, throughout the course of the game, he had 10 0-2 counts and 3 1-2 counts. Was working ahead almost all night long.
And quite a turn perhaps in momentum for the Padres in that 6th inning. Paddock worked a 7-pitch 6th, and then San Diego came back home half of the 6th and worked Mad Bum for 2 walks and a bases loaded double by Eric Hosmer. Kevin Ginkel now warming up with the Diamondback bullpen. So quite a contrast between Paddock's 6th inning, 7 pitches, 3 outs, and Mad Bum's 6th inning, 3 runs. And now you deal with brand new Padre, Emilio Pagan. There is Chris Paddock. Diamondbacks had their chances early against Paddock, but could not capitalize, and he really settled in. Fastball at 96 popped up. Tatis is there. And now a quick word from Jack in the Box.
Try my $5.99 Southwest Cheddar Cheeseburger Combo and make it a double for $1 more. Order now with no contact delivery.
Ketel Marte led off the game with a single against Chris Paddock. He was erased on a Peralta double play ball. Diamondbacks then had a threat in the 2nd inning. Back-to-back 1-out singles by Walker and Calhoun had men at the corners with 1 out. Carson Kelly hit into a double play to end that inning. Jake Lamb doubled to lead off the 3rd and was left stranded there. That was the last base hit given up by Paddock, that Lamb double to start the 3rd. He allowed only 1 more base runner after that, a walk to Jake in the 5th. Set down 12 of the final 13 he faced.
Yeah, you look at that Jake Lamb leadoff double in that 3rd inning, and Nick Ahmed was the next hitter, and it looked like Nick was trying to guide the ball to the right side to move Jake Lamb up to 3rd base for the top of the order. But those are the kind of little things of the game that I think there's going to be more of an emphasis on in a short season. If you got a guy at 2nd base leading off an inning, just like extra innings, get him to 3rd base with 1 out somehow. Ideally, you get a base hit through the right side, but at worst, you move that runner up to 3rd base and give your teammates at the top of the order a chance to drive home the first run of the game. That opportunity went by the boards, and the Padres took advantage of their opportunity in that 6th inning with the 3 base on balls. They ended up pushing across 3 runs.
That's something that's been lost with everyone trying to uppercut the ball and hit home runs. Christian Walker, the DH, down 0-2. Torey Lovullo, his 4th season as Diamondback skipper. He's not too concerned about what he saw in Los Angeles. He admitted, look, we laid a couple of eggs. He's not going to sugarcoat it. And emphasized the idea that tonight it's live. A game on, no do-overs from here on in. Not much room for error over the next 60 games. Walker punches that one to Myers in right. 2 outs in the 7th. Calhoun, 1 for 2. He has one of 4 D-backs hits, a single in the second against Paddock. See Machado going over there now. That's something that they're trying with Manny Machado, and I'll see if we can get our director Brian Moss to give us that overhead shot. They are moving Machado, who's one of the best defenders in all of baseball, all over the field. Jace Tingler, the new skipper, has been big on this. And we see the Dodgers do this a lot with Justin Turner. That's Machado way out there in short right field. He's the third baseman.
Well, and that leaves Fernando Tatis Jr., who, granted hasn't accomplished what Manny has in his career, but Fernando Tatis Jr. has tremendous range. He can cover that whole left side of the infield, so you pull your third baseman, put him out there in shallow right field, and try to cover the holes where the Padres think Cole Calhoun might hit the ball.
And that is not a place where you expect to find Manny Machado standing defensively. I mean, he's well out there halfway to right. And you can see they've left the whole left side of the field, both in the infield and outfield, open for Calhoun. He's down 0-2.
Well, we saw Torrey and some of the other managers in Major League Baseball last year employ 4 outfielders at times. Was it against the Dodgers and Cody Bellinger, I believe?
Yep.
That Torrey pulled somebody and put him out in the outfield.
Yeah, remember that was right here at Chase Field where we are. Didn't work. Bellinger still won the MVP award.
Well, you'd have to position somebody out in the bleachers if you want to hold him down.
Diamondbacks just trying to get this offense going. Didn't show up in LA in those 2 games and has been very quiet here. Their last hit, a Lamb double, which was the first batter in the 3rd inning. Got one right over the middle of the plate. Did he get enough? Cole Calhoun, one of the new Diamondbacks, a home run off Emilio Pagan. D-backs are on the board. You were talking about that earlier, Bob. He got some hittable fastballs against Paddock and missed them. He did not miss that one against Pagan.
Not at all. He barreled that one up. Will Myers barely took a couple of steps out there in right field. That ball landed way back in the bleachers.
The Valley native Cole Calhoun, his first game as a Diamondback, a home run at Petco Park.
Atta baby.
So make it a 3-1 ball game. Let's make that our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing pool play of the game.
I mean, Cole Calhoun has certainly felt like he's part of this team since he came over to Arizona, but it always feels a little better after you touch off that first one.
Carson's going to have to hustle. Mejia's on it. And they retire Kelly. They stretch in San Diego. Cole Calhoun's first as a Diamondback. There's one for Buckeye. 3-1 San Diego. Fans choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. And don't forget, the team shop is now open for business here at the ballpark. Bob and I with you at Chase Field in Phoenix. You can get the official team hats, all the new jerseys. They got tons of new stuff in there. Order ahead. You can do curbside pickup. The store is open and open online as well. All the safety protocols are followed. If you want to drop by downtown here, dbacks.com/team shop. And Bob, while we have a minute, let's check out the old mailbag.
Yeah.
Mailbag is back. I think we have some fancy animation for that as well. Our producer Jeff Gowan, our graphics ace extraordinaire Paul Krause is, I believe, drawing something up for Stephen Bob's mailbag this year. We want letters from our fans. All D-backs fans out there have been so kind to write us in the past. And we're going to have this for you just about every game this year. That's a great likeness right there. Stephen Bob's mailbag. We got, how about this? Now, this is left over from last year. We didn't quite get to it last season, but we got this from Joan and Jerry, who sent us these lovely baseballs. This has my name on it. As you can see, it takes up most of the baseball. And you have a Brenly baseball.
With a guitar on it and a microphone on the other side. This is outstanding.
And Joan and Jerry wrote us this lovely note. Thank you very much, guys. They moved to Phoenix from Paynesville, Ohio. So how about that, Ohio in the house? They say thank you again and enjoy your gifts. Well, we really appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We're very happy just to get your letters, D-backs fans. So drop us a line here at the at the old ballpark, and we'll try and read your letter on the air.
And you don't have to send us a gift. If you feel like you must, go ahead, but you don't have to.
But that was lovely. Thank you very much, Joan.
Very nice. That's going to have a place of prominence in my guitar room.
Yeah, they're from Painesville, Ohio. Joan and Jerry now live in Prescott, so thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it. Kevin Ginkel on now to start the home half of the 7th inning in what is now a 3-1 ball game. I think this is a difference maker, Bob, in that bullpen, a full season, at least a 60-game full season of Kevin Ginkel, who looked so good when he came up in September last year.
Well, we talked about it during the exhibition games in Los Angeles. Kevin Ginkel looks like he's made some adjustments in his delivery. I pointed out last year that he started from a bent over position. And everything about his delivery said he was going to throw the ball sidearm, and then at the last instant, he'd get off that stiff front leg and come straight over the top. I think that deception that he had last year was a big part of his game, but he's eliminated some of the beginning of his delivery. Doesn't bend over nearly as exaggeratedly from the waist.
Greg Garcia is the hitter for the catcher Francisco Mejia. So Garcia, the San Diego native, comes off the bench. Here's another one of the Padres' new bullpen acquisitions. The left-hander Drew Pomeranz starts to get loose for San Diego. They have really fortified that bridge to the guy who's probably the best closer, certainly in the division, Kirby Yates. Fastball off the plate's a strike, and Kevin's even 2-2.
This is something you want to pay close attention to early in the season as well. Who in the lineup will that opposing manager hit for? I'm a little surprised that Mejia is being taken down, as you mentioned earlier in the ballgame, a switch hitter. And the Padres are only carrying 2 catchers on their roster, so I'm a little surprised that they would pinch hit for Mejia in this situation. But Jace Tingler knows his ball club a lot better than I do. But the point remains, pay attention as to who they hit for in the lineup so that you can make the appropriate moves later on.
The other catcher, of course, Austin Hedges, who's the defender. Mejia is the offensive-minded catcher. And Ginkel humps it up to 95 and blows it right by Garcia for the first out in the 7th.
I mentioned those mechanical changes that Ginkel has gone through. It looks like his velocity's a little better this year. Maybe eliminating that severe bend at the waist and then stand straight up. Maybe it took a tick or 2 off of his fastball. He's throwing hard this year.
Center fielder Trent Grisham, the number 9 man, is 0 for 2. Kevin Ginkel, that fastball average just under 94. And the velocity has really come up for Kevin since he pitched in college at U of A. He can really spin that fastball and get those swings and misses on pitches in the zone. Slider and changeup off of that. There's that heater at 96 on the corner, and it's 0-2. That's something we hear a lot about these days, spin rate. The more spin, the more movement on the pitch. Tatis, who doubled and scored in the 6th, is on deck. Got it up and in, and Grisham fought it off for a 1-out single.
Fastball inside corner, and Grisham gets to it, pulls his hands in close to his body. That was a little reminiscent of some of the swings we saw from Ketel Marte in early spring training. He was getting to every fastball on that inside corner, much like Grisham did right there.
Tatis 1 for 3 with that double. Grisham can run too. Keep your eye on him at first. Don't forget, fans, the 50-50 is still up and running. We're over $12,000 now. You still have time. Tickets available online until the end of the 8th inning. dbacks.com/5050 raffle. Winning number on the postgame show. That's the Ginkel slider right there, and it's 1-1. Here's a look at the Diamondbacks defensively. Lamb holding Grisham on the bag at first. Boy, that was moving there. Talk about a spin rate on your fastball. That had a hump in it. This is where Ginkel's slider was a big weapon for him last year. And there it is.
We're in a great location, an 0-2 count. Started pretty much at the bottom of the strike zone, let it bottom out below the zone. Hope to get Tatis to chase. If not, we're still in a favorable count right here.
Opponents last year against Kevin Ginkel's slider, 3 for 40 with 20 strikeouts. Wow. Machado on deck. Overthrew that fastball a bit, and now it's full 3-2. Well, Kevin went to a full count on the leadoff man in the inning, Garcia, and struck him out with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Let's see what he's got for Tatis here on 3-2. Went to the slider. Did he go? He did not. Our nationwide vision eye on the game. Defensively, what we've seen from the Diamondbacks so far has been some pretty good work behind the plate on the part of Carson Kelly tonight, Buck.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Blocked a big pitch in the dirt with a runner at third base. Made a real nice play on a pop-up that tried to get away from him right there. Stayed with it. Makes a catch right up against the barrier. And then this is the block I was talking about with a runner at third base. Textbook form.
Our nationwide vision eye on the game. Carson Kelly back there tonight. And Ginkel in trouble now. First and second, 1 out, trying to keep it a 2-run deficit. Machado 1 for 3, a single in the 4th. Padres again with good speed on the base. Has got a hanger there. Can't keep it fair. Left that slider up. Diamondbacks in the 8th inning will have Lamb, Ahmed, and Ketel Marte due up 8, 9, and 1. Pomeranz, the left-hander, ready in the Padre pen. Grisham is at second and Tatis at first. One thing with Machado, he's a great candidate for a double play ball, and boy, Kevin could really use that right here. Machado last year led the majors, grounding into 24 double plays.
Well, part of that is the fact that most of the time Manny hits the ball extremely hard, and you need a hard hit ball to initiate a double play, and then you combine that with the fact that he doesn't always run as hard as he could possibly.
I think Kevin's overthrown that fastball a couple of times in this inning. Yanked that one a bit, now behind 2 balls and 1 strike.
And another problem you run into with Manny Machado, for me, he's a really good low ball hitter, and when you're trying to induce a double play ball, the conventional wisdom is keep the ball down, but you're pitching right into his strength.
He did that on his base hit against Mad Bum in the 4th, just kind of went down there and poked it into center. 2-1's a fastball fouled back. Machado really slumped over the latter portion of last year. He hit barely more than 200 over the final 2 months of the season. And he was very quick to admit when he showed up in Peoria this spring, I just didn't put up the numbers. I got to do better. Said he was disappointed in himself. Boy, he's done that several times now, Bob. He's really having trouble overthrowing that fastball.
And it seems very obvious that that's what he's doing. He's just overthrowing, trying to get an extra mile per hour or two, and then just jerks the ball out of the strike zone away from the right-handed hitters.
He's faced 4 batters in the inning. He's gone to a full count on 3 of them. (3-2) to Manny Machado. Fastball at the knees is strike 3, says Ted Barrett. Little low. And Machado had a pretty good case right there. Second strikeout for Ginkel.
Down at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah.
Close to the bottom of the zone.
Hear some groans in the empty ballpark from the San Diego dugout, understandably.
Yeah, that's one thing we should warn our viewers, that you may occasionally hear some words of anger from one dugout or the other, and we apologize in advance.
Well, Tommy Pham knocks that into center. Grisham will score from second, and it's 4-1 Padres. Pham was not waiting around there.
Just a well-placed ground ball back up the middle of the field, kind of smothered it at home plate, but found that hole.
He's going to be a real difference maker for this ball club. He's a really good player. Herges at the mound. Diamondback bullpen quiet for the moment, with Ginkel just over 20 pitches in the inning. He has walked 1, struck out 2, given up 2 hits. D-backs Live post-game show. Todd and Gracie are here at the ballpark with us. And don't forget, they'll have the winning number in the D-backs 50-50 raffle, which has jumped up now. We're over $15,000 fans in the 50-50. And you still have time to get in there. You can buy your ticket online, dbacks.com/5050 raffle. And you can buy your tickets up until the end of the 8th inning. 15,000 and climbing right now. Tatis into third on that. Pham at first with the RBI knock. And the batter is Jerickson Profar, who walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Tell you what, Drew Pomeranz has been standing around in the Padre dugout for about an hour and a half now, set to go.
Yeah, he's warmed up, just kind of stood there watching the action on the field, then warmed up a little bit again, and now just pacing around in that Padres bullpen waiting for his chance.
Yeah, he's been out there waiting for the bus for a good long while now.
Waiting on the bus all day.
Yeah, good slider from Ginkel right there, 0-1. As Profar swings over the top. Kevin can give it different looks with that slider. Sometimes it really bites. It's got a little more depth to it. Other times it's a little more lateral on the movement. And he says it's not something he tries to do intentionally. Sometimes it just comes out differently. As Pham moves up 90 feet. He's basically a grip it and rip it kind of guy, as we've seen in this inning.
Pham on the move, pitches in the dirt. He'll be credited with a stolen base since he was running on the pitch.
So a base hit here can bring home 2 more for the Padres. They've scored 1 in the inning. They lead it 4-1. Fastball in, but it's a strike, and it's 1-2. Padres about hit the D-backs 6-5. They lead it 4-1. Kevin Ginkel, 26 years old. He's a San Diego native, pitched at U of A. 22nd round draft pick by the D-backs 4 years ago. And a big addition to the bullpen last year. 2-2. There's that slider. Profar doesn't bite, and it's full.
Well, that's a good pitch. I don't know how Profar was able to lay off that one. We've seen Ted Barrett call some pitches that were a little farther off the plate than that. That's a great location for that slider. Hopefully get it underneath the swinging bat of Jurickson Profar, but that time he was able to check.
The fourth 3-2 count in this inning for Kevin Ginkel. He's at 27 pitches. Into the slider again. Profar lays off, and the Padres have loaded the bases for Eric Hosmer, who has the big hit tonight. A 2-out, 3-run double in the 6th against Madison Bumgarner. And now the bullpen will have to get busy for the Diamondbacks. Stefan Crichton will start to get loose, the right-hander. A couple of pretty impressive takes right there from Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, especially for a guy that has a reputation of being a wild free swinger. He laid off a couple of real good pitchers' pitches.
Hosmer 2 for 3. He's knocked in 3. A single in the 2nd, and that 3-run double in the 6th. There's a look at Ketel Marte back of the outfield grass at 2nd. Bases full of Padres with 2 outs. Evans worked himself into a 30-pitch inning. 15 balls, 15 strikes.
And another good block by Carson Kelly behind the plate. That's going to pay huge dividends for this entire Diamondbacks pitching staff. When you have the confidence to throw that slider in the dirt when the situation calls for it, to bounce a changeup in the dirt when the situation calls for it, and you know your catcher's not going to let it get by. That is a huge confidence builder.
And he needs that slider. It's a weapon. Really having trouble locating that fastball.
You see Matt Hurd just run to the phone. I would assume that means that Stefan Crichton is ready in the bullpen. You can see 31 pitches already in this inning for Kevin Ginkel.
Crichton's got that sinker looking for the ground ball to kind of get him out of this mess. Hosmer ahead, 2 balls and a strike. There's a good fastball from Ginkel. And it's 2-2. Well, it was a 2-strike pitch for Hosmer against Bumgarner when he hit it off the wall in right center for 3 runs. And he's up there with the bases loaded again. Tatis at 3rd, Pham at 2nd, and Profar at 1st. Knocks it the other way. Peralta at the wall. He won't get it. It's over his head and off the wall. Tatis is home. Pham scores. Profar coming in. And Eric Hosmer has his second 3-run, 2-out double tonight. And the Padres have opened up a 7-1 lead. 6 RBIs for Hosmer.
Fastball tailing away from Hosmer a little bit, but to his credit, he stays right on it. He meant to hit the ball that direction that time. Gets it over the head of David Peralta once again out on the warning track, and he'll clear the bases for the 2nd time in 2 innings.
Eric Hosmer 3 for 4 with 6 runs batted in. 2 doubles, and that does it for Kevin Ginkel. Diamondbacks trailing by 6 in San Diego. Back after this. 6th inning scored 3. A double off the wall in left in the 7th inning scored 3. Hosmer has matched his career high. He's knocked in 6 runs. He's 3 for 4. And the Diamondbacks find themselves on the wrong end of a 7-1 score as Stefan Crichton comes on to try and end the 7th.
His numbers from last season, you mentioned that sinker ball, a tailing sinker that he'll throw that works its way away from the left-handers down and into the right-handers. Maybe one batter too late to look for that ground ball.
There's a breaking ball to Will Myers, who has walked twice and struck out 0 for 1. Myers, the right fielder tonight. The 8th man to bat in the San Diego 7th. They have scored 4.
Well, partner, something we've always looked for in the past with Will Myers, how you can tell if he's been taking extra BP. He usually has his fingers all taped up. White tape on both hands. He uses no batting gloves, but apparently it's early enough in the season that he hasn't developed those calluses or blisters that he will eventually.
Chases that one. Crichton puts out the fire, but the Padres get 4 across. They take a 7-1 lead. Chris Paddock, boy, he was outstanding in his Cowboy showdown with Madison Bumgarner. Gave up only 4 hits, none after the 3rd inning, and set down 12 of the final 13 Diamondbacks he faced.
As a young man, it's very easy to look at the stuff that he has and the competitive nature that he has, and figure this guy's going to throw a no-hitter or 2 before his career is over.
That's why they have been waiting to make sure that he's healthy, free and clear of that Tommy John surgery from just about 4 years ago. And they have their ace of the future right here in the present. Now here's another P. We've seen Paddock, we've seen Pagan. Here's Pomerantz. The left-hander Drew Pomerantz, a signee as a free agent in November. They gave him 4 years and $34 million. Not bad for a guy who last season was 2-10 with an ERA near 5. But he kind of figured some things out working at the tail end of last year in the Milwaukee bullpen, where he was outstanding the final 2 months of the year, and it really paid off for him.
Found a little extra velocity pitching in short stretches rather than being a starting pitcher. Fastball jumped up 3 miles per hour, the average fastball. He features an occasional curveball as well, but yeah, he just became a much more aggressive pitcher. As a starter, he was known as a nibbler, a guy that would run up a pitch count because he didn't want to challenge the strike zone, but as a reliever, he's taken on a whole new mentality.
Jake Lamb was the first scheduled hitter in the 8th inning, the left-hand bat, so Ildemaro Vargas will hit for Lamb to start the 8th. Diamondbacks down 7-1. They've been out hit 7-5. All 7 San Diego runs in the ball game coming with 2 outs. They hit for Mejia. Austin Hedges takes over behind the plate. That's the Pomerantz knuckle curve. Threw his fastball last year just over half the time, backed up by that big spinning curveball. Ahmed on deck. He can sink it, cut it, move it around. And blows the fastball by Vargas for the first out. Well, he was outstanding. He got traded to Milwaukee at the deadline last year. 25 relief appearances for the Brewers and had 45 strikeouts in 26 innings. That was the highest strikeout rate of any National League reliever over the final 2 months of the season. So Vargas goes down swinging. Here's Ahmed, who's 0 for 2. We talked about this Padre bullpen. This is going to be something that may carry them into a postseason spot. They're still piecing together a rotation that's getting better and better every year, but this bullpen is out in front. Lights off a fastball. Pomerantz now ahead 0-2.
And you see the velocities, 95, 96, 94. This is a guy whose fastball averaged 89 miles an hour when he was a starting pitcher. He goes to the bullpen and suddenly he's got a little extra gas in the tank.
And he was once an all-star starter with San Diego. That was back in 2016. Traded in mid-July that year to Boston, where, as you mentioned, he at one point was a 17-game winner for the Red Sox and then had some injuries. That curveball we talked about, that's sort of his signature pitch. But we've talked about teams in recent years with bullpen dominance shortening the game. They seem to have done that with Pagan, Pomerantz, and of course their closer Kirby Yates, who's so good, and Pomerantz gets his second strikeout. There's the curveball. The only offensive highlight for the Diamondbacks, Cole Calhoun, with 2 outs in the 7th, 432 feet. StatCast powered by Google Cloud. This is the second longest home run in the major league so far this year. The first was last night. Giancarlo Stanton hit that one 459. We're looking for everything we can get up here. Your staff came up with that one.
Well, my staff has another one here.
Oh, what do they got?
Cole Calhoun joins a list of Arizona-born Diamondbacks players to hit home runs.
Oh, cool.
Cody Ransom, Josh Rojas, Nick Evans, Shea Hillenbrand. Now Cole Calhoun.
Marte in the leadoff spot. Yohan Lopez warming up at the D-back bullpen. Well, you had to have a lot of faith in Drew Pomerantz that those 2 months in Milwaukee were real, to base pretty much on that alone hand him $34 million. The Padres already carrying some big time salaries in Machado and Hosmer and Myers. It's not a lot of guys that go 2-10 with a 4.85 and say, hey, you want $34 million? Sure, I'll take it. But it seems to have really helped San Diego. It's a pretty imposing relief corps they've put together.
And certainly it's helped Drew Pomerantz a lot.
Thought it might.
Yeah, 1st and the 15th of every month.
Well, remember, he was a very highly sought after player coming out of college at Ole Miss. He was the 5th player taken in the 2010 draft. That was by the Cleveland Indians. He's bounced around ever since. There's a little flare out to second, and Pomerantz works a 1-2-3-8. All San Diego Diamondbacks down 7-1. But very effective. Here are some opening day pitching gems today. Kyle Hendricks, an opening day shutout for the Cubs. Their first since 1974. The Rangers blank Baltimore. No, they were playing. Who were they playing? Well, we'll find out later. And Shane Bieber, 14+ strikeouts for the Tribe.
Nice. Kyle Hendricks, 103 pitches in that complete game shutout, 2 hours and 30 minutes.
That was Colorado that got blanked at the Rangers' new ballpark. Yohan Lopez on to work the bottom of the 8th inning. This is a guy that was really impressive in spring training and in summer camp. Matt Herges has been raving about Yohan Lopez, and that slider, Matt says, had been for a while the talk of camp. It was biting and darting and diving all over the place. And Yohan kind of vanished for a few days on us as he went through the health and safety protocol. And is back with the team and in the ball game to start the year here. Ildemaro Vargas, who hit for Jake Lamb, remains in the game at first base. Ty France, the hitter. France 0 for 3 to DH. Yohan Lopez last year led all National League rookie relievers in holds and appearances. He was second both in ERA and innings pitched. Well, it wasn't quite the same guy last year that we saw when he flashed some very impressive stuff a couple of years ago at the end of the season.
2-0 slider that time from Lopez. He missed badly with his first 2 fastballs, head high to the umpire. Comes back with a slider on the 2-0 count, gets the foul ball, works himself back into the sequence here.
Lopez last year averaged 96 with that fastball. And there's the slider.
A couple of good ones right there to even the count at 2-2.
Well, Yohan saw a lot of loud contact as the season wore on last year. And then those 7th and 8th inning appearances started going elsewhere to other guys, and that trust factor, which he had been building up, went backward a little bit. So now he's trying to regain it. So far, the coaches have been impressed. That slider's in the dirt, and now it's full 3-2. New catcher Austin Hedges awaits his first at bat of the year. With that one out over the plate, a terrific stop by Escobar. Going to try the long throw, but no chance to get Ty France. And the Coyotes are back. That's Thursday. They take on the Golden Knights, 7 o'clock, Fox Sports Arizona Plus. And starting on August 2nd, the Coyotes and the Nashville Predators play the best-of-5 qualifying series. You can catch every game on Fox Sports Arizona or Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Also streaming live on the Fox Sports Go app. For your Plus channel listings, check foxsportsarizona.com. Going to have the Yotes back and skating around. Oh, you talk about a wild 60-game season. That rush to the NHL postseason, that's going to be a lot of fun. Here is Hedges.
Well, after the first two fastballs that missed badly up high to Ty France, he's thrown nothing but sliders since.
Well, that fastball, he might have been scared off a bit last year, Yoan Lopez, because that fastball got knocked around, even at 96 miles an hour on average.
Another slider.
Lopez's fastball last year was hit so hard, no pitcher in the majors had a higher rate of hard hit balls against him than Yoan Lopez.
That's not a stat you want to lead the league in.
So they've been working to try, and we talked about spin rate earlier. They're working to increase that spin rate, get more spin on the fastball, which means more life and more missed bats. Get that ball moving a little bit more, not so flat. So they've experimented with different grips and different grip pressures, and so far the results have been very encouraging. Little slider, Hedges lays off, and now it's 3-1.
Well, a little bit of a trend here for a Padres team that is notoriously a bunch of free swingers. 8 of the last 14 Padre hitters have gone to a full count. Not sure if that's the hitters showing great patience or the pitchers just missing the zone badly.
Here's the fastball. Escobar, they get 1. Marte turns it. Hey, we asked you earlier in the ballgame, fans, to download the new D-backs MLB Ballpark app, and we put up our poll question, which you got points on your app if you joined up and are playing. Which D-backs pitcher will have the best season this year? How about the results here? Everybody on the Robbie Ray bandwagon.
I would tend to agree with him. If I had to pick when we initially asked the question, I would go right along with Robbie Ray. He's a free agent at season's end. He's in the best shape we've seen in a long time. He's made some mechanical adjustments to his delivery and really feels good about where he's at right now.
And he's got that John Wick hair.
Yes, he does.
As Eduardo Escobar pointed out the other day. There's a tremendous video that the social media staff put together that if you're on the Twitter, take a look at the D-backs Twitter account and watch this video. It's about 9 minutes. And they put together a highlight reel of basically summer camp, and they have Eduardo Escobar mic'd up, which is infinitely entertaining. Trent Grisham now, so a terrific job there by the D-backs social media team. That's some good stuff. Escobar with a mic on, even wearing the mask, it's comedy. El De La Pica. There he is. Of course, Torey Lovullo has been wearing a t-shirt throughout summer camp that says, "Congratulations, I'm proud of you," which is Escobar themed because those are the phrases that he used more often than any other to his teammates. Congratulations, I'm proud of you. Guerra warming up in the Padre pen. So they're having some fun with that. Fastball's a strike, 2-2. So this would be a nice uptick for Yoan Lopez. Erase that leadoff base hit with a double play ball. Now get your batter here and get out of the 8th. Overshift is on the first base side.
That new and improved slider not only does it have much more break, much more downward break, he's throwing it hard. That last one at 89.
Tatis, the leadoff man, would be next. He has doubled, walked, and scored twice tonight. Both on Hosmer, bases loaded doubles. Hosmer has knocked in 6. 3-2 to Grisham. There's the fastball. Ouch. The Padres, you see why so many people in San Diego and really all over the country are high on the Padres. They've got Tatis back and healthy. Of course, you've already got Machado at third. You add Pham, you add Trent Grisham, you add Pagan and Pomerantz in the bullpen. You've got a terrific closer in Kirby Yates. That rotation's starting to come together. You've got a healthy Garrett Richards. Padres have a whole new look this year. And it's not just the uniforms. He loses Grisham. That'll bring up Tatis. It'll be interesting to see how San Diego does. Of course, remember last year they were 31-29 in their first 60 games. They were doing just fine there for a while. But then they kind of spun out of control a bit, and over their final 60 games last year they went 22-38, so quite a difference. So we'll see how they do over 60 this year, because that's all they get.
And I think a big reason for that difference last year was the absence of this guy. I don't think there's any doubt about it, what he brings to the table. We talked about his physical gifts, the energy that he brings to the team every day, the joy with which he plays the game. They really missed that.
He was on the injured list twice last year. Was hurt in April, a left hamstring strain, kept him out all of May. And then Tatis came back in early June and went on a tear, hit .325 in just under 60 games. But then suffered a stress reaction in his lower back in August, wound up on the 60-day injured list, and did not play a game after August 13th. So he missed the final 6 weeks. Lopez spots the fastball and strands Grisham. 9th inning at Petco Park. Diamondbacks trail it 7-1. With you here, Chase Field in Phoenix. Diamondbacks trail it 7-1 as Javi Guerra, the converted shortstop, is on to work the 9th inning for San Diego. Hey, there's a whole bunch of new playoff teams at the end of this year in this crazy 2020 season. Yesterday, Major League Baseball moved very quickly and expanded the playoffs from whatever it was before to 16 teams. It was usually 10. Now you have 8 from each league make the playoffs. 4 rounds, no sudden death wild card, as Peralta leads off the 9th inning. Now the way this works is the top 3 seeds in each league are the division winners in order of the record. And then the 3 teams that finish in second place in their divisions are the next 3 seeds, again in order of their record. And then the final 2 seeds to round out the field of 8 in each league go to the next 2 teams with the next best records regardless of the division. I think that's pretty good. You've got to have that emphasis on winning your division. And another thing that really emphasizes that, Bob, is that in the wild card series, the higher seed hosts all the games. So you can play all 3 games at home if you're the higher seed in that first round.
Yeah, you could also be the #1 seed and lose out to a sub-500 team.
True.
It's possible.
It is. It's 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5. Best of 3 in that first round. Higher seed hosts every game. And then the division series goes best of 5, and that goes back to the traditional 2-2-1 home and away. Then you've got the LCS best of 7, followed by the World Series, and the team with the best regular season record will get home field in the World Series. And of course there are no playoff, or I should say play-in games, no tiebreakers. Those will all be settled with math. Tiebreakers are head-to-head and then intra-division record. And so every team in the major leagues now that finishes either first or second in its division will head to the postseason. And so if you're in the National League West behind that Dodger juggernaut, suddenly feel a lot better about things. And I think everybody would concede that the two teams in this division who figure to compete for that number 2 spot are right here, San Diego and Arizona. No disrespect to the Giants, who are rebuilding, and the Rockies, who are, you always have to question their pitching. Peralta hits one out to center for Grisham. So do you like 16 playoff teams? You only have 30, and now more than half make the postseason.
Well, I'm assuming that at some point in the near future we're going to expand, add a couple more teams in baseball. So 16 out of 32 would be exactly half the teams. And once again, because of the unusual nature of this season, they give it a shot.
Yeah, I agree.
It might turn out to be tremendously popular with the fans, with the players. You just have to see how it goes.
Well, I heard some reporting that this was not something they threw together at the last moment. Now they got it through at the last minute. Approved by the union and approved, I believe, unanimously by the ownership. But I think they were working on this as far back as January. And Guerra has to hop on that one. Starling Marte is going to have a swing and bunt single. That's his first D-backs hit. And in a shortened season where teams have lost so much revenue, I mean, you and I are sitting right here in an empty, dark ballpark at Chase Field. Petco Park has no fans. So it's a chance for teams to get some of that money back.
Maybe recoup a little bit of the money that they're going to lose over the course of the summer. Guerra didn't have a good grip, didn't want to risk a bad throw right there, so hangs on to it. That's Starling Marte's first knock as a Diamondback.
And of that money, from what I understand, $50 million goes to the players. So it's not just about the teams here. The players cash in as well, as they get a chance to make back some of their money. Here is Escobar 0 for 3. Well, it's going to make this crazy 60-game sprint even more wild, which hopefully is entertaining for everybody.
You know, at one point during the shutdown, there were a lot of ideas kicked around. You know, if they do come back, how many games can they play? How are they going to go about it? At one point, I heard somebody say, play it like March Madness.
Yeah.
Play it like a bracketed tournament. I don't know.
I think the NBA talked about that at some point too, didn't they?
Which would be interesting, but I don't know exactly the logistics of that and how you would make it work. But certainly that would be off the beaten path for Major League Baseball.
And there was some talk that they would have like a selection show where the team that got the 1 seed could pick their opponent and decide who they want to play that way, which seems a little gimmicky for some.
Yeah, I'm not into that so much.
I would tend to agree. There's Guerra. That's why they converted him, by the way, from an infielder to a pitcher. He throws 100 miles an hour.
That'll do it. Triple digits will get you out there on the bump.
And he wasn't hitting a whole lot, so they said, let's try this. Christian Walker would be next. So just add some more zaniness to this experimental season as Guerra gets the strikeout. D-backs down to their final hitter. It's Christian Walker. Don't forget, D-backs Live postgame show comes up right after our ball game on Fox Sports Arizona. Todd is here. Gracie is here. They'll have the 50-50 winner, by the way. And D-backs fans, great job on the 50-50. We get up over $21,000.
Outstanding.
All online, obviously. There's nobody here, so thank you for playing along. And we'll have the winning number for you shortly here on Fox Sports Arizona. And we are back tomorrow night. D-backs Live pregame show at 5:30 for game 2 of the 4-game set as Marte takes second base. Robbie Ray on the mound. He has looked electric, to say the least, against the hard-throwing Dinelson Lamet. 6:10 first pitch on Fox Sports Arizona.
You know, partner, we don't have the opportunity to go down to the clubhouse or catch the players on the bus or in the hotel lobby anymore, but I'd be interested to know if these guys felt any differently tonight than they did in the exhibition games in LA.
Yeah, good point.
You know, same circumstance, empty stadium.
Well, unfortunately, the result has been much the same. Grisham can't dive and get that one. That'll get Marte home from second with 2 outs. The RBI for Christian, his second base hit tonight, and it's a 7-2 ball game.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Little jam shot that floated out there in right center field. 2 outs in the inning. Marte can just take off on contact. He scores easily as Christian Walker gets his second hit of the night.
Good to see Christian back in the swing of things after missing some of the workouts with that minor groin injury. And here's another guy with 2 hits tonight in his D-backs debut. It's Cole Calhoun. He has singled and homered. And the speedy Tim LeCastro will run for Walker at first. Good to have Christian back. Castro takes second uncontested. Tap back to the mound. Garris got it, and the Diamondbacks lose the opener in San Diego 7-2. Eric Hosmer matches a career high 6 RBIs, a pair of bases loaded 2-out doubles behind Chris Paddack. And the D-backs drop the opener 7-2. Back with much more right after this.